Indie games have had a particularly strong showing during this console generation, many of them considered to be masterpieces or even highly beloved. But despite that, I still believe them to be overlooked and not given enough credit, even though some of them are better than most AAA releases these days. And with that, I decided I want to make a series spotlighting these indie games. This isn't me really reviewing a game either, no score or anything of that nature. This is me just giving you the facts of what makes these games so great and worth playing. So, welcome to my Indie Spotlight series. I'm going to tell you about what makes each of these games great and try to convince you to try them out yourself in under 5 minutes roughly, so let's go. One indie that should need absolutely no introduction, but is still underrated despite its success, is none other than Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a 2D action-adventure set in a beautifully mysterious world of insects. Selling millions of copies across PC, PS4, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, many would consider to be one of the most successful indie games of this generation. What started out as a Kickstarter campaign from a brand new studio called Team Cherry has evolved into a very beloved cult classic. The player is cast as a small mute bug known simply as the Knight, whose quest and purpose is quite unknown on his journey through Hallownest, an ancient kingdom whose once opulent existence has fallen into tragedy, darkness, and crumbled under the test of time. The lore is something akin to that of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, with lore tablets, ghosts, and NPCs giving you small outright details about the world and the history. But what Hollow Knight doesn't tell you is just as important as what it does. With some of the best environmental storytelling this side of From Software, Hollow Knight hides much of its lore in its backgrounds and the small details and hints from dialogue and text that when put together start to paint this beautiful tragedy of Hallownest and its inhabitants of the past and the present. There is an absolutely gorgeous aesthetic and atmosphere, from the bright greens of Greenpath to the dreary blues and grays of the City of Tears to the very off-putting darkness of Deepnest. Every environment in Hollow Knight is beautifully illustrated in a way that the player would instantly know where they are. Each area stands apart, while also connecting together. And it quite frankly has one of the most beautifully orchestrated soundtracks, adding to each area's atmosphere perfectly. Each of these details add to the lore and the immersion of the lovingly crafted and densely populated world. The combat of Hollow Knight is satisfyingly difficult. It's all about timing, looting patterns, and even the smart use of charms, equivalent items that add to or change your playstyle. And if any of that combat can give you challenge, it will be the plethora of bosses. Each and every boss stands out from the others visually and mechanically. Some will overwhelm you with intense speed, multiple combatants, stick you in a small room with a behemoth who can take multiple health bars in a single hit, or sometimes a combination of all of those. And every one has their own lore and connection to the other characters and history of the world. It is actually a surprisingly large game too. Featuring over 30 bosses across the base game and the free DLCs, the main story alone could clock you in at over 20 hours. But with the 4 free DLCs adding new quests, items, NPCs, and bosses, you could be looking at close to 40 hours, over 50 for the completionists out there. Hollow Knight is a quite obviously lovingly made MetroidVania that I think adds on to and innovates on the genre wonderfully. A charming and mysterious story, a beautiful atmosphere, challenging combat with a surplus of bosses, many secrets and hidden lore, and a truly interesting world that is genuinely fun to discover. All of these things and more make Hollow Knight 100% worth diving into, and with the sequel, Hollow Knight Silksong, currently in development, this is a great time to join those of us who love Hollow Knight. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, maybe consider leaving a like and maybe subbing. If this video works out good, I plan on making many of these. If I even convince you to look into Hollow Knight or even go buy it and play it for yourself, please let me know. I would love to hear that. And if you are someone who loves Hollow Knight like I do, sound off in the comments about what you think makes the game so fantastic and why you would recommend it to those who haven't played it already. And with that, I hope to see you all in the next one. God bless and see ya.